Hey, welcome to the show, Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. I'm Arif Halaby, along with my special guest, Mr. Colin Paley. You're going to get a chance to learn a little bit about him, what he's all about here. If you're watching us on SCV TV at home, of course, that's Channel 20 or Channel 99 on DirecTV. You get a chance to see this young man. Now, who is this young man? Well, first of all, he's my nephew. Now, you might say, well, that's kind of interesting. Total Financial Solutions having a young, what is he, the next Facebook king? Well, maybe. Is he the inventor of something that's going to change elementary schools and junior highs across the land? No. He is, in fact, exactly somebody impacted by what's going on LA Unified with the current terror threat. Right, so when you look at something like this terror threat and then the decisions to shut down the schools, what happens to over 600,000 students and their hundreds of thousands of parents and then their employers and the work and the customers that are expected to get done and served during that period of time? So we brought him on to learn a little bit about him. Tell me your name, sir, again?
Colin Paley.
And Colin, tell me about what grade are you in? Tell me a little bit about you.
6th grade.
At what school?
Triumph Charter School.
Okay, that's out in the San Fernando Valley.
Yes.
And what's your favorite subject there?
I'd have to say history.
History. Any particular historical events that come to mind?
Well, I'm learning about ancient Iraq right now.
Really? Mm-hmm. What was that called before?
Mesopotamia.
Interesting. So, what are two? Here's going to be a quiz. You didn't know you were going to be still going to school today, huh?
No.
No. Okay, so give me two rivers that run through Mesopotamia, current-day Iraq.
The Tigris River and the Euphrates River.
Unbelievable. I don't think I knew that at your age. So that's perfect. That's exactly right. Now, what are some of the historical things that happened way back then in Mesopotamia?
Well, the ruler of a small part of Mesopotamia, Babylon, the ruler's name was Hammurabi. He invented the first set of laws given by him from the God of justice.
That's exactly right, yeah. And so when you see that, isn't that what our laws today are made up of a little bit?
Yeah, they're similar.
And what is similar? Give me maybe one similarity that you might think, or two.
Well, they've changed over thousands of years. And
murder was still illegal back then under Hammurabi's laws.
Yes.
And yet at the same time, here's a young man learning a lot. And so again, what grade is that again?
6th grade.
6th grade, not 16th.
No.
There isn't a 16th. Did you know that? Yeah, 6th grade. So 6th grade plus 5 years old, that means you're about 11. So, no, we can't see nods. You have to say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, on radio, it's only voice. Did you know that?
Yes.
He tried to nod again. Okay, so look, a lot of your friends were at school. Any idea what's going on with any of them, or all of them?
Well, I contacted my friend Devin earlier. He goes to a different school. And he was at his friend's house earlier when I called him, so I was guessing that he already heard the sad news.
Yeah. And do they talk at all about at your school, any of the Islamic terrorist threat, the radical Islamic people?
No, sir.
Nothing at all?
Nope.
What do they say? Anything?
Well...
When the thing happened, when the shooting happened in Paris, or 6th grade is that junior high? No?
Yes.
Yeah, or middle school, I guess you guys call it. All right. It was part of elementary when I went to school. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, they changed it. Like, wow, something happened all of a sudden.
Yes, sir.
That's weird. Isn't that weird? Today, 6th grade is middle school. It used to be junior high. High school used to be 10th grade, then 9th grade. It's a little weird. What do they do with history? Is there like a senior history class that you go to?
Yeah, we have different classes. Different teachers, different classes.
So charter school, what does that mean, a charter school? Because there are a few charter schools here in Santa Clarita.
Well, charter school, there's a charter school and a PUC school. So PUC school, or PUC schools, they do things a little differently than charter schools. They have differences, different rules, and different ways they do things.
So give me an example of something do you know of any differences that might?
I'm not aware of any differences. I only know that they're different from other schools.
Okay. And does your charter school have a specialty, like something that it focuses on that maybe another does? Like, I guess a magnet school focuses on one thing or another, but charter schools don't do that.
No.
It just happens to be a group that is kind of semi-public, if I may. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then tell me, you don't have to call me sir. You're my nephew. I chase you around the backyard, and you're okay. You're a good man. Tell me about your mom and dad.
Well, gosh, I don't know where to start.
Well, tell me, your mom is an amazing lady because she's my older sister.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that. I've known her my whole life.
Yeah, I know that by now.
Yeah. And your dad works?
At Cedars-Sinai Hospital.
He does. And he's a good man. He works hard for you and your family.
Yes, he works very hard.
For what? Why would he do that?
Well, to take care of our family, to take care of his lovely wife and his good son.
Oh, so there's another son? You have a brother?
No.
Oh, that was you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, very cool. Well, tell me about another favorite subject at school.
Science.
Science. And you weren't able to go to science class today either with this
No, I wasn't.
Islamic threat thing, terrorist threat. Okay, so tell me what that is all about. What kind of science? Are you guys studying anything specific in science
Nothing
today?
really specific. Well, we for now we're looking at life things, like we'll study things that are happening today.
Like biology or something?
Yes.
Or what do you mean life?
Well, the other day, for example, we were having a debate whether we should have women and men both on same teams or
Oh.
in one league against each other.
Like a professional sports? you mean?
Right.
Uh-huh.
Like, for example, soccer.
Okay. Well, there's some pretty darn good soccer players that are females. There's no question
Yes.
about that. Well, very good. Well, I like that you get a chance to be able to study. I'm sad that you didn't get a chance to go to school today because of some crazy people. But I am happy that you're here with me today. You going to listen to the rest of the show?
Sure.
All right. Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. We're going to continue. Hey, listen, you want to start a business? The next hour and a half, that's what we're going to focus on. Starting a small business. What does it take for you to begin a small business? We have that and a whole lot more. 7 steps, key things to think about when you're starting your small business. Right here with me, Arif Halaby, along with Jeff Gerard, and our special guest who's going to watch the rest of the show. I want to thank you, Colin Paley, my nephew, a really good young man, when we come back. On Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour, I'm Arif Halaby. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. That was a nice little break from the financial hectic world, if you will, to our young guest, Colin Paley. Okay, so we're talking about your family's finances, starting a small business. What is it going to take for you to reach out, leave the corporate world, leave the job world that says, hey, look, paychecks are nice, benefits are nice, that steady stream of income is fun. But if you've got that hankering to go out and start your small business, what do you have? Well, you have a few things. First of all, you have to make sure that you decide you are the right person for a small business. A lot of people want the stuff. I always say that. I want the stuff, but nobody wants the work.
That's right. Like you said, you stand in a room full of people and say, who wants to be a millionaire?
Yeah, right.
Everybody's hand will go up, of course. But ask them the questions like, hey, who wants to work 7 days a week? And then you might see a couple hands go down. Who wants to work 12, 15-hour days? A few more hands go down. You start to see that people don't really want to do the work. They just want the stuff.
Yeah, everybody wants the end result. Who wants a happy relationship? Everybody raises their hand. Oh, who wants to work hard at it? Oh, wait, you mean I have to listen to my wife or my husband, or I got to tolerate them? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
So there's going to be things in your life where to get to the fun stuff and the goodies, if you will, you have to go through some craziness. And so starting a small business is part of that. What are some of the steps that you need to do? Start, number one, with conducting a personal evaluation. Decide whether or not it is the right thing for you to do. Know yourself. Know if you have the work ethic. Know if you have somebody else in your life or another source of revenue for things like the benefits, health insurance, or other types of benefits that you may have. How are you going to be able to still access the pieces of your life that you counted on and not even really thought about, right? It could be your retirement account or your health insurance benefits, those kinds of things. That changes when you are not planned and prepared when you start your own business because you're it.
Sure does. And I think this personality check, if you will, it's a good time to have a conversation before you go out on that limb, right? So it's like a kind of a personal test run for yourself. Are you the kind of person that is willing to do all those things? And you don't even know what you don't know yet. You don't know what sacrifices you're going to have to make. If you have a financial cushion, you've heard of moonlighting. A lot of people will have their day job and then at night they'll cultivate their small business or their idea. But ask yourself, why do you want to start a business? That's probably one of the first places to start. And I think it's an important question because some people are looking for the freedom. Don't look for financial stability because you probably won't have that right away. If you have maybe a spouse or a partner that has that way of leveling out some of your personal finances while you're figuring this out, that's great. But there's so many things ahead of just, hey, I'm great at baking and I want to start a bakery, or I have this great business idea. I've always loved to do X, and you fill in that blank and you think that that's a great idea for a business. Well, it can be. You just have to put some steps in place. Or
people say, hey, listen, you know how to repair cars. You're an amazing mechanic. You can figure out how to fix those things in no time, and you go out and open a mechanic shop. Well, you forget there's a business component to that that is more detailed required, but on the numbers side. You may be very creative. You may be very hardworking. None of that is taken from you. But is your personality one that can go out and understand the details of the numbers and the crunching the numbers and trying to find out what was wrong? I know I had a friend who was an accounting major once in college, and I couldn't do it. She had such patience with trying to find where the penny, if it didn't balance literally to the penny, where was that money and how did I miss it and where was the loss? And that kind of a detail is necessary, especially when you're trying to figure out if your business model is even one that's going to work. Next is, what do you know about? I could not start a business repairing automobiles. I love cars. I love to drive them. I've had many of them over my lifetime, but I don't know how to sell them. I don't know how to repair them. So if there was a business with cars, that would be difficult for me. I would have to literally start from the ground up. So for a lot of people, there's some things that you know about that are intrinsic to who you are, those hobbies, those passions, that piece of your heart. We had an uncle once who we'd go over to his home, my aunt and uncle, and he wasn't really good with kids, didn't really like us a whole lot. We'd run around. But once we found out that Uncle Albert liked baseball, we couldn't shut him up. He would sit in his chair back in Michigan, and as soon as you started talking about baseball, he could tell you anything about baseball, statistics, what teams, who was playing, who was good. That's the kind of passion that helps a small business grow, as long as you have the numbers as well, or at least you have an answer to the numbers, which could be hiring a bookkeeping firm or an accountant internally or out externally as well.
Sure. And then I think another question to ask is, and notice there's a kind of a trend here. We're asking a lot of questions because you have to know these answers or at least have an idea of it. Do you want to provide a product or a service? Because those are probably in a lot of cases, completely different business models. Because providing a service, you have to make sure that someone's going to need that service in an ongoing basis, or you have a big enough market to support that, or are you selling a widget, a product? Is it do you have a smartphone store? Are you repairing computers? And now here's another layer of that. Are you offering a product that can change with the times? Can it evolve? Is it something that's going to be like a typewriter repair service? Well, you can see how lucrative those would be nowadays, right? How many people have a typewriter? Yeah,
we had a friend who owned Kelly's typewriter repair service in the West LA area. His dad owned it. He owned it. And he was already, close to 55 or 60 years old when I met him in 1990. And that was a big part of his income. Was the typewriter repair business. He had to get into the copier repair business, fax machine. Well, of course, fax machines have changed. And he had a very successful business that went to the next level, which were all of those kinds of devices that created imaging. So you've got to think beyond, is this a business I plan on passing on to my children? We'll get to that in a minute. But is the technology, does it keep up with it? And finally, when it comes to you conducting that personal evaluation, is this going to be full-time or part-time? And you can start one way and go the other. You can always start part-time, which is often what people recommend. Get used to the idea of being responsible for a business. Can you imagine having employees that you pay before you? Do you know that that's what happens when you own a business? You have to make sure your taxes are paid before you can pay your mortgage. You have to make sure your employees are paid before you can pay for your gas and your food. So it is a sacrificial event at the beginning when you own a small business, especially when you're beginning from nothing. Franchises offer an opportunity to weed out those that are not serious, to weed out ideas that have not succeeded in the past, and to really get down to the nitty-gritty of, are you the right person to run it? Forget what we're selling, whether it's hamburgers or whether it's cell phones. Are you the right person to run this? So a lot of companies, a lot of franchises will actually have personality tests and multiple interviews that will walk you through what it takes to own that small business for their particular chain, whether, again, it's sandwiches or hamburgers, it doesn't matter. So there's a process you go through. And then what kind of training will you have, whether it's a supportive training from the entrepreneurial side. So it could be you putting together, the right attorney that's going to train you on the legal aspects, right? Is it going to be employment law? My goodness, employment law, health insurance. You need a whole team just to not have to pay fines and fees on the health insurance world these days. So those are important parts to that next step. And Jeff, let's talk about this. We have to ask ourselves some questions, and there's really going to be a few of these things. Do we have the support of our family?
That's a great question. And I think that is probably one of the most important. I don't care in what order you place that question, but the importance of it is high, because starting a small business, how many times have we heard the story that someone took their, life savings, I don't care what stage of their life, and they poured it into a business and they lost it, or they were doing what they were good at so that they could pay their bills and meet their financial obligations, but starting this business on the side encumbered 20 to 24 hours of their day. 25 hours a day, it would seem like for some people. I know I have a family member that he ran into some trouble because he was so in love with what he was doing that he would forget to come home and go to sleep and start his day over again. And that's an important thing, because that affects more than just the person that can burn the candle at both ends, so to speak, and if you're others involved.
If you're a parent, who is going to fill that gap for the period of time, especially if you have young children, it's going to help fill that gap while you are getting used to the business. So if you have a stay-at-home parent or another parent, or you can take turns, or you have an in-laws or somebody that can help pick up, drop off if there's sicknesses or emergencies. You see, at your job, you have sick time, but there's nobody to be sick. That's why if you ever go to small businesses areas and you go, it's the middle of the day, why aren't they there? There's a sign, off today, we'll be back tomorrow. You're like, what the heck? It's in the middle of the day. You're supposed to be open. People are waiting for you. Well, no. Not if you are the chief cook, bottle washer, and child care supervisor, right?
Yeah, there was a flower shop in town that we saw actually people lined up outside waiting for them to open. They said they opened at 9 or 10, whatever it was, when it was an hour past that time. And hey, maybe life happened, but you need to have a contingency plan, a little backup, if you will, because once you start a business, especially a brick and mortar business, you've got a door, you've got business hours, people are counting on you. That's when they'll show up, is when you're not there.
And I remember talking to the owner the next day, and I said, hey, are you the owner? He said, yeah. I said, you had a line of people waiting for you, and it was a lot of folks expected. She goes, yeah, I had things to do, or whatever it was. I thought, unbelievable. I would be, oh my gosh, you mean somebody didn't show up? I counted on Mary and she didn't show up? But if you're a small business owner, you have to still have that same passion above and beyond, because your customers can tell. Go to small businesses, look at the passion in the eyes of the owner. You'll notice. My kids can even tell you if you walk by a business today, or when you see somebody give lousy customer service, or 10 minutes before they close, the door's locked. My kids will look inside and go, Dad, that's not the owner. I go, well, yep, you're right. Because if it was, they would stay open 10 minutes afterwards. And I have seen where I said, can you stay open for me? I'll be there, but it might be like 5 minutes late. No problem, we'll stay for you. Whatever it is. And that's the kind of repeat business and dedication that a small business owner gets. And you have to have that. If you like shopping at a place like that, well, then darn it, you got to be like that.
That's right. A big part of this is remembering that it's not always about a great idea or, wow, I bet someone makes a lot of money doing that, so I want to go do it. Really look into the motivation behind why you're taking on this business venture, because there are a lot of costs that go beyond the dollar, I believe. Dollars, time are certainly always there, but there are other things to factor in as well.
I always say, would you do this for free? Look, I really don't like saying this, because my teacher and police and firefighter friends, jobs that require a lot to get there and to be passionate about it, many of them will tell you they would do it for free. They're not going to tell you in public, because they want the pay raise and the extra vacation day and the bonuses and all the stuff that goes with whatever job they have. But remember, if you're a nurse and you're doing it for the money, eventually it becomes a pain, and you're like, this is crazy, I got to do this. But if you're doing it because the passion about caring for others, and you've all been there, you've seen those people. I have been in the hospital, both as a patient and visiting family, and you can tell when you have somebody there who is passionate about their job, who thinks that their job is just to serve people and amazing, and that is just the thing that they do in their life. Those people, if you would do it for free, then you're probably down the right road as far as passion goes with the small business.
That's important to remember, because a lot of times when you get into a business, you've put in so much. There's so much heavy lifting that goes into it. And if 10 minutes after you start the business, you go, wow, I don't really like this. Or here's a little, funny thing that you hear a lot of people say is, oh, this business would be great if it wasn't for the customers. Well, if you've already got a cynical attitude, a year into this, you might not last very long. And think of all the, like I said, the heavy lifting, all the due process that goes into a business. You have, and we'll cover some of these things, but beyond the personality side, and is there enough money? Is there enough time? Can you get that up and running? There's the legal side of things, and do you have employees? Now you've got customers, clients, employees counting on you, and if you decide that this just isn't for you, how do you unwind some of that?
Years ago, I heard this thing. It's called SWOT, not SWAT team with an A, but with an O, SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. When you understand and you can look at a problem or a potential problem or a business, the SWOT opportunity allows you to say, is this the right place for me? What are my strengths? My strengths are different. The reason that we have people like Jeff that work for Total Financial Solutions is simple, because his strengths are not mine. Otherwise, I would do it, right? So he is very good at some things that I am not. We have Carrie Myers, amazing at what she does, not my strength. Cindy Grant, Karen Gray, all of them, Logan, they have strengths that are away from mine. That's what you do. You build the people around you. What are you weak in? Don't go try to get better at your weaknesses. In my opinion, that's a poor person's mindset. Let's go, here's your problem. Let's go focus. Let's take 18 classes and get better. No. How about you just do what you're good at, make it even better so you shine. Then you have an area of excellence, and you go and hire people whose area of excellence is in an area that is not your strength. Isn't that amazing? And now you have people who are amazing at what they do instead of so-so, like you, halfway, really. Mm-hmm. So you want to build those strengths. We're going to be back and continue with analyzing the industry. How do you even know if this was the right business and then the right time of year or the right time in the business cycle? How do you know? We'll help you analyze that when we come back on your place for news, talk, and information. Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. We'll be right back.